Hey everybody, welcome to Making Sense of It All. I am very happy to have the Tin Cup Club back on the podcast to talk about everything that has to do with the Players Championship right here in good old Ponte Vedra, Florida. Mike Shelton, thank you so much for making time to join us again.
Anytime, Jesse. Thanks for having me.
Wes, glad to see you as always.
As always, great seeing you too, brother.
Mike Padrone, I am very happy to have you back as well.
Yes, sir. Always a good time.
And joining for the first time, Dr. Chris Blakely. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad I get on with you boys.
Hey, and I'm not trying to shortchange you there, Dr. Michael Shelton. I just figured I'd church him up since it's the first time he's been on the show.
I'm not a doctor right now.
Thank God. So as always, everyone's got a cup in their hand. Everyone's got something in it. So we're going to start with Chris Blakely. What you drinking?
I'm drinking a Midwinter's Night Dram, Act 12. It one I usually like to mix when I'm making my old fashions, but I'm just drinking it straight today.
Nice. Wes, what are you drinking?
I went to my old trusty. I got my Buffalo Trace.
All right. Padrone?
I always show you the bottle. Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. But I also made it into a old fashioned today. So a little change for me.
Churched it up a little bit. Shelton, what are you drinking?
I thought that was a heavy pour for straight bourbon, but
It's a long day.
yes, of course. I was gifted a bottle of Blanton's Gold recently, so I was waiting for something special to open it for. I'm not going to share with you all at 10 cups, so I figured tonight was a good night.
Fair enough. I am drinking a single malt from India. It's actually called Indri. And so it was part of this tour of the world. I know I had shared last month when we were talking, I was drinking something different from a different part of the world. So this is the first time I've ever had a whiskey made in India. So gentlemen, cheers. Glad we could do this.
Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
So we're talking everything about the Players Championship that's in Ponte Vedra. It happens every single year. As the people that are listening to this, I'm sure that they know that. First question for you guys. What was the first experience you ever had at TPC or at the Players Championship? Mike Padrone?
Mine, I was trying to think of that. All I could recall was I think it was midnight. I'm almost positive it was 1996. And I wasn't really into golf, and we played a little bit. And I only remember the name Tommy Tolles. Because somebody told me, you got to go out there and you got to watch this up-and-comer Tommy Tolles. And we did, and we followed him around. And I actually, because we only went like Thursday, I believe, or Friday, I didn't even know until I just Googled it right now. He lost. He was in second place to Fred Couples when he won that year, 4 strokes behind. And I'm like, that's kind of a cool thing. So whoever told me to go watch Tommy Tolles was right that week. So there was no Tiger in the field, no nothing. I mean, all the names were, you got Greg Norman in there. It was a great field, but somebody told me to watch this up-and-comer, Tommy Tolles, which is probably like 60 years old now, but 1996, man.
Very cool. Wes, what was yours?
I was freshman in college. 1998 is my first year.
Anything memorable about it, or
I was just getting into
were you a
college.
freshman in college? So there is nothing you remember about it. One or the other.
No. I found out what the week was all about for people going Friday afternoon and Saturday. So I remember being there. I just may not remember everything.
Justin Leonard won that year, if you want to know.
Fair enough.
Yes, he did.
Sheldon, what was yours?
Well, it's funny. I think when Padrone was there, I didn't go in high school when I was here, but I actually think my dad went out there with, I think it may have been Padrone, Richie, and someone back there. So it may have been 96 that they went, and I could not go. And so I moved away for a little while. But since I've been back in Florida since 2014, I've tried to make it a point to go almost every year. So I guess that was, 11 years ago was my first one. Yeah.
All right. Blakely, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, compared to these guys, I'm more of like a TPC novice. My first time was 2019. And it was great. You know, I was already a full grown adult, so I was able to participate in everything going on. and we had pretty good, decent weather that year. I think I might have actually ran into Shelton that first year. I went with a couple of buddies, two of which are some tin cup players, and we had a good time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, mine comes with a story. So first time that I ever went, it was Sunday of 2004, and I wasn't a golf fan like through high school and through college. I was a baseball, basketball, football fan, and so a friend of mine had an extra ticket and asked me if I wanted to go. So why not? Sporting event, never been, something that I've heard about for years. Let's do it. Load up the pockets of my cargo shorts. I'll like kind of age myself with that one, but I load up the pockets of my cargo shorts with a bunch of minis. And we proceed to drink very heavily before we get in the gate. And the first thing that I do, we're walking down part of the front nine, I believe it was 6 or 7, and a ball comes right at me. I'm in the rough, I'm in the trees, and the ball lands right at my feet. And I look, and I got a little bit of a buzz at that point in time. And I look at the marshal or the volunteer that's standing there, and I looked at him. I said, "What would you do if I kicked that ball right into the woods?" And he looks at me and he turns stark white, and he goes, "Please don't, sir. That's Mr. Woods' ball." And so Tiger Woods is walking up. He doesn't know me from Adam. I'm just some guy in the crowd, but I'm a semi-athlete or a near former athlete at that point in time. And I'm like, I want to see how big this guy is. So I intentionally stand as close to the ball as I can, just waiting for him to come up because I want to see how big the guy is. And it's amazing. Like when I thought about it, I mean, they say, 6 foot, 6'1". The guy's got like a 28-inch waist. His shoulders are not that wide. And I'm looking at this guy and I'm like, there's no way in the world this guy hits the ball further than anybody on tour. And it's amazing how much, that was the biggest impression that I had from that moment was just how much speed that guy delivered from such a small, compact package. But I thought it was very, that's my first memory ever of TPC. So I don't know that I'll top that one.
I mean, you could have topped it by kicking it into the woods.
Yeah, that would have been your last TPC memory ever.
100%. 100%.
Should have done it, Jesse. Should have done it.
There's a lot of shittas in my life.
Please don't, sir. I love it.
Please don't, sir. It's Mr. Woods' ball.
So all of us are, have either spent time or are from the Jacksonville area, from the St. Johns County area in Florida. This tournament has been here for, arguably, really since it's been the Jacksonville Open, it's been here a very long time. I can't even put a number to it, but it's been TPC or the Players for, we're talking probably 40 plus years that it's been that, kind of had that moniker now. 1974. There we go. So to you guys, what does it mean to Jacksonville? Do you think that this is kind of like Jacksonville and Ponte Vedra, the whole area? Shelton, what do you think that it is to this area? Is it something that we hang a hat on every year?
I think we have to, and I think it's kind of hard. Go to someone who grew up in Orlando and ask them how big Disney is. It's a whole lot it's a different scene. You're used to it. It's always been there. And that's how it was for me in the beginning, is I didn't realize how big of an event it was. But once I moved to Birmingham and was up there and started getting more into golf, you just realize how big an event this is. So I don't think you can understate the value of it for Jacksonville and the Ponte Vedra area. Chris can probably answer a little more just because, again, he's an outsider. Because, this was always been our backyard. It's been there since we grew up. But I think moving away for those 7 years made me realize how important this event was. And again, that's why it's been pretty much a have-to event every single year since I've been back.
Well, I'll go right to Chris there because he kind of called you out. So, yeah. Tell me, what do you...
Yeah, so he's right. I'm coming from outside of the area, and for me, I knew about TPC. I like golf. I watch quite a bit of golf, and I knew it was a big deal. But when I got to Jacksonville, I just thought, feel like for the people who live in Jacksonville and Ponte Vedra, it kind of puts it on the city on the map. Not as to the same extent as the Masters does for Augusta. But, I live up here now. And I tell people I used to live in Jacksonville. They're like, oh, that's where they have the golf tournament where you have to hit onto the island. I'm like,
right.
Yeah, it's down in Ponte Vedra. It's the TPC. It's one of the best around. And so it really puts them on a map for name recognition. But over and above that, It's one of the highest grossing events for the city and for Northeast Florida in general.
Right.
I know there's a little university in a place called Gainesville, Florida. I don't know if you've heard of it, but they estimated a couple of years back like it was $150 million or something. I remember reading for like Northeast, and I don't know if that's I don't think it's just for the weekend or the week. I think it's like for people who come back, the revenues that the hotels and the restaurants get, but for Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra, and Northeast Florida, I think it's essential for revenue and the potential like economic boom that we get every year.
Padron, what about you?
Like people don't realize how small Ponte Vedra is, and for this tournament to come here and do what it does each and every year is huge for the area. For the obviously for the city of Ponte Vedra, for St. Johns County, and then for Jacksonville, is just I mean it's massive. I mean it's I would argue it's bigger than any Jaguar game that we have here. Um, I think it's kind of a staple in this area. Obviously, people know it because of the green. For me, it kind of and I don't know if it's because I'm partial to it, but it's kind of like me looking at how I look at the waste management. I feel like the rest of the country looks at Sawgrass as well. It's like you know it's a great time, you know it's just an iconic course with an iconic hole, and people look at it that way. And obviously, we'll talk about fifth major in a little bit, but that's kind of the way it is too. It's just become and again, it's the best field in the game. I mean, I think as any of the top guys in the world are coming here, and it's just become I think it's just become bigger and bigger every year.
So, Wes, I'm going to ask you this a little bit differently because I think that you've been a part of the, as far as green grass around here, all of the way that it impacts the actual golf courses in the area, the way it impacts hospitality. What have you seen over the years? Like, how much of an impact does it have on the actual golf industry and bringing people into the area?
Yeah, I think easiest way to sum it up is if you go online right now and try and book tee times here in Jacksonville area, you're going to see limited tee times, and you're also going to see the rates jacked up quite a bit just to accommodate, get that nice little dip of revenue for them
Sure.
each course. I mean, it makes sense. Every place does it, but yeah, like even at the venue here at Top Golf, like we get a ton of corporate outings that are coming in. Now they got the Creator Classic going on Wednesday, so you're going to have a different set of eyeballs on TPC this year, and I think that's obviously going to be fantastic. And I always liken this event to it's the classier version of like waste management. People still go out there, they're still going to have their drinks. The girls are in their sundresses, the guys are either dressing up like complete fools or they're in like top to bottom Peter Millar. Like it's always fun. I look forward to it every year, but the economic impacts as far as the food, entertainment, all that, you can see it all around city. And it just doesn't extend in Ponte Vedra. It goes outward to Jacksonville and out toward Fleming Island, Green Cove. They're all cashing in on it for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. I mean, I always think about it because to me, that's what kind of the city was known for. That's, if you want to hang your hat on a sporting event that we were known for, it was TPC or the Players Championship. And it was, it was the biggest tournament that the PGA Tour put on itself. And it was right here because this is where they're headquartered. And so it was their backyard. And it was that was it. And then 95 comes around, we get the Jaguars, and now all of a sudden we have NFL games. And so, it's is it the biggest sporting event in the area? Arguably you could say the NFL is the biggest ticket in town for anything. We had the Super Bowl in 2005. I mean, so it's like, but I think historically, when you look at what this area is known for, when you look at why people travel into this area for tourism, I mean, it really does. It's one of the top golf courses in the world. I mean, it's usually in the top 5 for places that you can play. And it is, it's a showcase every single year. You get people that are coming in. It's a destination. They play all around town while they're here. They eat at all the restaurants, like you said. It's a fantastic event. They do a A+ job with it. And speaking of that, one of the things that they do a really good job with is their military appreciation concert that they do every single year. And a pretty good friend of all of ours is one of the people who actually put it on. Sheldon, tell me a little bit about it, what they do.
Um, Well, going back to what I put forward my days, I try to make sure the Tuesday of the week is open so I can go. Unfortunately, last year we were in spring break and couldn't go, but yes, the good buddy we grew up with. Can I say his name out here? Greg
Yeah,
Adams.
shout Double A Productions. Greg Adams.
Double A Productions has put on this concert for quite a few years, and we all played ball together. Live close to each other. But he's done just an amazing job with this concert. So I think tomorrow it's either at 4:30 or 5. The military appreciation part starts, and they typically end it with a concert. I think last year was Riley Green. This year is Jordan Davis, I believe. Is that
Right.
I mean, yeah. So we'll be there. They've just done an amazing job. I mean, Jacksonville's a military town, so that's another thing too. If you want to hook their hearts, either do Monster Jam, which was 2 nights ago, which they would probably argue is the biggest event in Jacksonville. But anything you can do to bring the military into this town gets this place going. So it's been the last quite a few years now. Tuesday of TPC, military appreciation. There's a flyover, I think, by the 125th Squadron, and it is amazing. So TPC does a great job putting this on. Double A Productions is fabulous. So I can't give them enough credit for this, what they do.
Yeah, 100%. They do a fantastic job. Big shout out to Double A Productions, Chris Albrecht, Greg Adams. They do a tremendous job. They got a great team that puts on events. Padron, you said it a little bit ago, and you were talking about this being potentially, what people have considered the fifth major, and that's been an argument that people have had. They've had it for years now, and I don't know that there's a real answer to it unless somebody were to actually just kind of give it that official status if they ever decided to. But in your mind, do you feel like this is the fifth major? Do you feel like the Players Championship is the equal to, or at least a close second to, the four majors that are played every single year?
I mean, I may be in the minority here. I think it's a third major for me. I mean, obviously, I got a lot of, I mean, history here, but living here, going to it. But I mean, you listen just to players talk about it. That's the one thing I mean, you listen, like I'm watching right now, the live from the players, and it's just the way the players talk about this tournament, that it's important. It is one of the trophies that they absolutely want. Obviously, you got Augusta as number one. I think that's far and away. I don't think there's anybody close to the Masters. To me, number two is I like the Open. I'm just a big links guy. And love the actual Open, but I think there's an argument to be had between the U.S. Open, the PGA, and the Players as third. And that's maybe just me. I mean, I know there's some, golf guys that are be like, no, there's only four, but the Players is up there with. We look at the field; it's kind of a limited field to begin with, and it's the top guys in the world. And I actually don't know about the live guys. I mean, I guess unless you have an exemption, you're only the only way you're in, right?
No, you can't. I mean, it's a PGA Tour event. Yeah.
Right. So maybe not the top guys this year, but soon to be top guys in the world. But yeah, I think it's right up there. I can obviously I can make an argument that it's fifth, but I could move it up the list for sure. And that's just from enjoyment, from the architect, from everything, from the course. And I'm very partial to it, of course, but that's the way I feel about it.
Blakely, you live in Atlanta, or you live close to Atlanta, so it's like you've got the Tour Championship right in your backyard.
Yeah.
Like when people up there look at it and say you kind of the ending event for the year where they're crowning a FedEx Cup champion versus the Players. I mean, what do people up there say about it?
So yeah, I mean, I'll say we think it's really cool that they crowned the champion up here. It's a great tournament. East Lake is such a cool spot to walk around or play golf at, but it's not on the same level as TPC for me personally, and I think for most people that are up here. If you go to that championship, it's a limited field. Yeah, they are the top players at the time, but it's limited. Down at TPC, I think it's over 100. What is it? 104? How many people?
I think they go one. I think they go one
or something like that.
Yeah, they may have changed it, but I think the field's right around that. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking about the top guys. If you win the PGA, if you win the TPC, you get an invitation to Augusta for 3 years and an exemption in the other majors for 3 years. Like, it's a really big deal, and it's called the Players Championship. I mean, like, it's, in my opinion, should be at the fifth major. I think you have, like Mike said, the Masters, um, really the other three, or a PGA and a U.S. Open, then the British, then TPC.
Sure. Wes, do you think that that this has been impacted calling it the fifth major because, the live guys are not playing in it. They're not even allowed to play in it. So every other major, you've got truly the best golfers in the world competing for it. But for this one now, you only get the best golfers on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, correct. And that's probably the shot it takes about moving into the fifth major, the past 3 years since Liv came along. Prior to that, there's definitely the argument for it. I mean, you have the history, you have the super strong field, you've got major champions that have won this. They mention it like, hey, he's won this tournament and a players. Like they keep throwing that in there. It's like, oh, he's won a green jacket, he's won a US Open. Oh, and don't forget, he's a players champion. So they kind of, you know, I know they advertise it as that, but I mean, you got a lot of stuff going for it now. I think once Liv gets back, on board and that whole thing gets ironed out and you get the players back, then you can start the conversation again. But I think right now it has to just sit there as it's the next tournament everyone wants to win outside of a major. That's my thought on it. I've always kind of like, yeah, if they put it in as a fifth, I wouldn't, go nuts over it. And if they said no way, we're never going to do it, I'd be okay with that too. But it's just prestigious enough that for them to talk about it, and the Golf Channel treats it as a major. I mean, you don't go to live from unless it's a super big championship. They only do like live from for like the playoffs and this event essentially. So yeah, I think this can be in the conversation once they get this live PGA Tour crap figured out.
100%. Shelton, do you think that the change in the month, like as far as, because they've moved it back and forth between March and May, and now they moved it from May to March, and I think it's been in March for 3 years now. Do you feel like that it impacts the quality of the event at all?
I don't think so. I understand I know when they first did it, they were talking about why they were doing it, and there was some concern with, everyone wanted Augusta to be the first major, the first big tournament of the year, kind of like Daytona for NASCAR. But I do think it kind of puts it on because we have the players in March, the Masters in April, and then they go each month. There's a major, so it's kind of you had that divide. You had the Augusta, then a little week or two, then the player or whatever, and then one more else. So I think it puts the timing a little bit better. I was laughing when Blakely was talking about East Lake, and I was just wondering or thinking about what would you do if TPC was the last event of the year? Like if roles were reversed, would it make it bigger or smaller? But the problem you have in Florida is as you get closer to summer, it gets hotter. I personally like the cooler weather of March versus the 95-degree days of May. But I don't think it's necessarily changed anything. It's just one of those things people get hooked on when it is. They could play it on December 31st. I think it would still have the same turnout as it does now.
I think it's a really good question though. Like if you stuck it kind of at the end of the year, I mean, do you guys think that would have an impact on the popularity of it? To me, I mean, I kind of feel like the same way that you do, to where it would still be popular, but at the same time, you've got all kind of like you have hope. You have like when you liken it to Daytona or anything else, it's like it's the beginning of the season. There's all kinds of hope. Everyone feels like that they have a chance. Versus if you stick it at the end of the season, all the majors are done. Everyone kind of knows where they fell. Do they all of a sudden now does the event kind of feel less than if you brought it to the end of the year? What do you think, Blakely?
So no, I actually, the contrary, I think that could even be a little bit more because you said all the majors are done, but we've already sat here and said everybody thinks of this as a fifth major. So this will be an even bigger build up to this tournament, in my opinion. If it still had like the field of 140 and it wasn't cut down or trimmed down by your FedEx points. So I think it could even make it bigger, personally.
Yeah. What do you think, Padron?
I disagree with Blakely. I think here we go. Although I think it would make it literally the fifth major. I think for me, the way I look at it is right now, these last 2 weeks coming into the players, for me, is the official beginning of the season. I mean, it is go time now. I feel like the Cognizant's pretty good field, but the API is a different field. And then now it just cranks up with the players. And I think it gives it a more excitement to the rest of the season going into the Masters, playing the players before the Masters. And not only that, it gives you a break of the players in March, the Masters in April. I think it's the PGA in May. You know what I mean? So you have every single month, you've got a major tournament. And I think the way they break that up is perfect. I think at the end of the year, not that golf enthusiasts like ourselves will always have interest, but I think some people kind of just start fading off. Where now you still have all the excitement of the whole season to go, and this is kind of like the kickoff of it.
Yeah.
I would just say two things. One, I think the beginning of the year is some golf tournament in Maui, if I'm not mistaken. That
Yeah.
annually. And two, if you just said it would de facto make it the fifth major, how is that not bigger than where it is now? And people are like, "Oh, it's kind of the fifth major." So
I'm saying it's
I
the
do
fifth major
appreciate your point.
in line of 1 through 5. So, but yes, I see both arguments of it, honestly. But like the best argument is probably Shelton's. It's going to be hot as hell
Yeah.
at the end of
So
To
August,
that
whatever
point,
it is.
when you were talking about moving it from May to March, I actually came on when it had already gotten moved to March. And Shelton's like, "Yeah, it used to be in May." And for me, I was like, "Man, it's kind of chilly out here." Chilly for Jack. We're talking about 70 degrees. Um, and the rain, so much threat of rain, and I was like, I don't like this as a fan coming to watch. I've
Yes.
stuck Mike with work so I can get out and go to the golf course. And now it's raining. I did that all for naught. But after looking a little bit more into it and thinking about it, with it being colder and it being windier, the course plays much harder. In the summertime, they're just bombing drives. It's dry. The ball's rolling. And they're taking clubs on those holes. Granted, they're hitting from the pro tees. They're taking clubs on the holes that we wouldn't take. In March, they're still having to go driver and 5-iron on 18, which is what I would be doing. And so I have more fun watching them hit the clubs that I'm going to hit because the conditions are more difficult for them. So I do think in that regard, having the course play a little tougher, it's better in March.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's funny. I listen to all y'all's arguments for one or the other, and for me, I don't know that I see it as a fifth major right now. And my reason because is 100% because it's not an open field, it's a closed field. And some of the best players in the world don't even have a chance to play in it right now. So to me, until they open it up or until they actually make it to where anybody can play in the Players Championship that can qualify for it, then to me, I don't know how you can call it a major. It's a private event essentially. It's a great private event, but it's a private event. And for me, for the month, I really did like the switch from March to May when they originally did it, and I liked it because I thought that it brought the whole field in. Because to your point, Blakely, you're right. It plays longer in March. It's a softer golf course, and I think that there's a lot of people who own the Bombers are people who have an accurate driver have the best chance of winning it. I think, but the guy who's gonna play the ball on the ground, let it run out. He didn't really have a shot in comparison. Now I say that and watch the short knocker win this week, but but that's really, I mean, to me, I just thought it brought the whole field into the event when they changed it to May.
I could see that.
And with the overseated ride, it looks beautiful in March.
It does look better.
It does. It looks gorgeous. Obviously, that has nothing to do with everything. I'm talking about just for me looking at it. But it's just,
well, yeah.
you just want to lay down and roll
a
around.
picture of the course a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Which he didn't respond to my text, but that's okay. Course is looking great. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The switch over, I'm more of a fan of March because you're gonna get a course that can play both ways. If we don't get rain and the conditions are right, they can still get that place fiery. And you add in the rye rough, now all of a sudden the players, and this is what messes players up, they have doubt on where their ball's actually going to end up. So you can have a fiery golf course. Those guys are worried if it's going to run through and get in the rough. So I think this, you can potentially get two different golf courses every single year. It can play fiery as hell or it can play really soft. So I think that's kind of cool with it. I do like the cooler weather, although we are, sometimes it'll rain, sometimes it doesn't. But one thing we can always guarantee, there's going to be some breeze out there. When you throw breeze out on TPC Sawgrass, I mean, God, was it 3, 4 years ago when Justin Thomas had hit like a 5 iron into 17? I mean, you got some crazy stuff that can happen. The one thing about putting this event at the end of the season, I think we're forgetting about football. I think that would
Sure.
kill the viewership. That's probably why I guarantee they toss it around. They're like, there's no way we'll get numbers with football season going on, especially they finish on Sunday. Jaguars in town, that's going to kill their attendance. So them putting at the end of the season would, I don't think, ever happen because I think they'd lose way too much money on that one. I like it where it's at just because to me it kicks off major season. It's like, okay, sweet. We got the players. Now we got to Augusta. Like Padrone said, we know every month we've got a major tournament. And I think it flows really nice because like, all right, whoever wins the players, like, all right, they're kind of the big dog heading into all the majors because they just won at a major golf course. And it's not necessarily a guy you would expect. I mean, if you look at all the past champions, it's every single type of player. It's a plotter, it's a bomber, course manager, all of it. So the more I talk about it, the more fun I love this tournament because there's just no prototype or archetype that wins this golf tournament. It's just the guy who's playing the damn best, and I love that.
You're selling me on
Who knew?
it. Shelton, how do you think this compares, like as far as other sporting events that you've been to, being at this this event essentially, like how do you think it compares to other sporting events that you've been to?
Again, I put this as one of my number one events of the year. So I've been a season ticket Jaguar holder for the last 7 years, and make fun of us what you will, because that's been rough trying to survive through the stadium renovation. But just to compare it to another golf tournament, so for the last couple of years, I've actually gone to the RSM up in St. Simons, and it is just a whole different vibe. I mean,
Right.
here you're looking at 100,000 people each day. I mean, like as I joked, I think in the last podcast, there are certain people who I don't think even see a golf ball the entire day. They're there to have fun and party and social and mingle. And then you go to RSM, and I feel like there's like 2,500 people there. You walk wherever you want. There's no concessions. There's like basically a little ring of food trucks.
Mhm.
But it's very neat. But this is still one of my favorite sporting events of the year. I have not gone to the Masters, so I can't say anything about that. But there is a
Like
reason
Disney
this is
World.
number one. There's a reason this is number one, and this may be the reason I'm taking my kids out of school tomorrow to go hang out at the course.
Yes.
Don't let them hear that. But yes, the Shelton family will be in Ponte Vedra tomorrow for the practice round in the military appreciation concert.
I'll
Very
see you
cool.
there.
Padron, what do you think?
I will also be there tomorrow. No, I think also it's number one in the area for sure. Um, it's one that I go to every single year. Last year it was spring break, so we actually headed out of the country, went to the Caribbean for the week, and I was having to watch this on TV, and it hurt a little bit. Um, and it just kind of, that was the first time I've not seen it in a while or in person. And actually, this tomorrow is the first, I want to say, practice round I've ever been to. I'm always a Thursday, Friday guy, and then Saturday and Sunday at home. So I'm actually looking forward to being there during a practice round in the military. I mean, I've been to the concert, but we usually get there, in the afternoon, just kind of go straight to the concert. We've never really walked around the grounds all day Tuesday, so that'll be kind of fun to do tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I don't think sporting event because it's a once a year thing. I don't think there's anything that's going to compare to it in Jacksonville, at least. Even you look at Florida football down the street, or Jaguars here. It's still 8 to 10, whatever, 8 Sundays a year, 8 Saturdays or 6 Saturdays, whatever it is. The only thing I think that can compare to it up here is a Florida Georgia game. I think that's one thing that people always look forward to every year, and everybody in Jacksonville wants to go to the Fort Georgia because they want to be there and post about it. And I think that's what players has become. I want to post, especially girls. I want to post in my dress and my like girls out there in freaking heels for some reason. I don't know
Mhm.
idea, you know, and they want to post that, hey, I was at the Players, and they never, like Shelton said, they never saw a shot of golf. They don't
Yeah.
even know what's happening.
Yep.
And but they were there, and that's kind of like that's when you know it's a good event is when people just want to say I was there.
Yeah.
Um, and they do a great job of putting it on. And the I want to say that the merch shop is probably one of the best you'll see. It's absolutely incredible.
I
And I will
can't
be there
tell.
tomorrow. Yes, exactly. Well, I will be there tomorrow, and they get you because they say if you spend $350, you're going to get a
Yeti.
$20 Yeti.
Yeah.
And of course, here we go. We spend 350, and then if we get to 600, we might as well get two Yetis. Let's get a 700. So they they get you, which is how I got a Peter Millar $120 hoodie.
Nice.
It looks great.
Blakely,
I know.
Blakely, what do you think?
Black is
Yeah.
Fleming.
I mean, I'll echo what everybody said. I love TPC.
Yeah.
Upset that I'm not going to be there this year, obviously. I think
You
that
might play it though.
one of the things that I've really recognized uh, is like what Wes said. It's still a classy event. I mean, Ponte Vedra is it's a classy establishment.
Oh.
But people are still down there and they want to get after it. You got access to food and beverage tents you can just go online and buy the ticket. Heck, the first year I went, I bought my tickets at Publix. I was picking up eggs and beer, and I said,
Yes.
"Go get these tickets."
Yep.
And so it's just easily accessible. You get there, it's an affair where people want to be seen, but also want to watch golf and want to have a great time. And then you also, even though we're pulling in people from all over the country and actually internationally too,
Oh,
um,
for sure.
you see the people from around town. You see the people, like I ran into Michael. I ran into some other partners from work. I ran into friends that I live nearby. And it's just like everybody's out having a good time in Jacksonville and kind of celebrating this marquee tournament, marquee event that we have. Like Padron said, really the only event, like external event that I would compare it to is Georgia, Florida.
Yeah.
That's one day. I mean, it's a
Balls
weekend, yes, but it's really one day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And plus this is also bringing in like four times the amount of money for the city. And I don't think that I think it's important to not lose that fact. It helps
100%.
keep Jacksonville going without having it be crowded every 365.
No doubt.
At that point.
What about you, Wes? I mean, when you compare it to the other experiences that you've had in sports, how does it rank for you?
It's way up there. I mean, I was fortunate last year to go to the Masters. So, I mean, Masters is the Masters. You can't compare Masters to anything else. It's that good. But yeah, the players' experience is awesome. I mean, I feel like most of the volunteers are, they're pleasant. They're not, on a power trip or anything like that. That's always a big one for me. I personally, I think the best day to go is tomorrow for the practice rounds, especially if you have like a family and kids. Like they can get close to the guys they want to see. The guys are a lot looser. They're playing some money games out there. They're talking a little shit. But they're at the same time they're getting ready. They're kind of into it. Go into the driving range, watch them prepare for the tournament. What are they working on? You can see how good these guys are. They're working on stuff and their dispersion is off the charts. Like you're like, no ball looks different to me. It's just like boom, boom, boom. So I think that for me as the golf sicko I am, that's why I love Tuesday.
Right.
Tuesdays for me, like, hey, only get to go Tuesday every single year. I'm like, that's fine with me. I'm going Sunday this year too, because to me that's going to be the calmer of all the days, maybe outside of Thursday. But yeah, I think it's just the best time to go see these guys prep, and especially when they get around the greens, they're hitting different shots at different pins, and it's really, really cool. And I think another thing that's just cool about it is it's the same course every year. And
Hmm.
we've all been fortunate enough to play Sawgrass and to see these guys getting in certain spots. You're like, oh, I've been there. And then they do something like, yep, that's why I'm on this side of the ropes and they're in there making millions and millions of dollars. So it just
100%.
showcases how good these guys are and how precise they have to be. And if I had to say to anyone, go Tuesday, especially if you got kids that are golf sickos too, they'll love golf even more because they get to see the best players in the world up close and personal. And the players there are actually really good with, interacting with the kids at that autograph area. They'll all stop for, you know, 15, 20 minutes. Some of them just give out autographs, chuck balls over to the kids that are waiting and stuff like that. So it's a great experience just any day of the week. But if you're there to party, it's Friday afternoon and Saturday.
Yeah. No, I think I mean, all of you guys made great points. I think one of the things that I would bring up that we didn't really talk about is the hospitality that they create around like all of the chalets, all of the tents, everything that they do to support the business community. It's first class. I know that we have people coming in from all over the country that are going to be at the event, and they're not only going to be at the event on Thursday and Friday, but they've got supporting clubs and everything that puts on parties around it. They put on you've got charities that put on things on Friday night. It's just if you have business clients, if you have people that you're entertaining, there is no better event that I've ever been to as far as the way that they make sure that people can see the action, but that they can also have a first class experience with food and beverage, with the way that they're treated around the event. It's amazing. For me, event wise, one of the things that I would say, I mean, like for me, Yankee Stadium was number one. Like going to a baseball game at Yankee Stadium and being around that crowd, and you got people that they know their baseball. They're very aware of everything that's happening. They watch every single game, and it's just such a cool experience to me. And that's probably because I grew up, just being a baseball nut. But as far as golf, I have had the benefit of going to the Masters. It's like Disney World. I mean, and but even that, it's an experience. There's no real hospitality for my clients. If I'm trying to bring somebody for business, it doesn't do anything for me. But for the event itself, as far as just having a $4 pimento and cheese sandwich or having a $3 or $4 beer, it's a cool novelty, and the place is amazingly beautiful. But when it comes to the actual event itself and what it means for me and how much value I get out of it, I don't think it holds a candle to what they do at the Players Championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the fact that they showcase all these different like restaurants throughout Jacksonville
100%.
too. I
Yeah.
mean it is insane. You're like, oh my God, there's Taco Lou, there's this. You're just like they're everywhere. And
Yeah.
they did when they started bringing in like the food trucks too, like right there off of 10, then you go back to down to 14. There's a whole area there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just insane. Just in the past 5 years, how much they've added.
I like how they do that as well because, like you said, Ponte Vedra is not a big town,
Mhm.
even though Jacksonville is the largest city by landmass, right? Our
Yep.
county, it's huge.
Yep.
But they bring all of the local restaurants and things to the course, so people come down, they get to taste Jacksonville without
Hmm.
having to leave this little small town of Ponte Vedra.
Yep.
And I think that's some of what brings people back. Maybe hey, let's go vacation in Jack's Beach.
Yeah. 100%.
You guys got a favorite food truck that's out there?
I always like tacos on 12. I mean,
Okay.
it's Taco Lou, man. It's always pretty dang good. I mean, it's a staple in Jack's. Why not?
Anybody else?
Who does the barbecue off of 11 Green there? That's really good. I
The
can't
food
think of
or
it now. That little like horseshoe area.
yeah. Um,
But there's a barbecue place there, and I'll think of it in a minute. Um, that's always there every year, and that whole area is good with food. But that
yeah.
barbecue is they have some burn ends there that are my
Yep.
staple every time we go. They're so good.
Yep.
Nice.
It's funny, V Pizza just had a post where they were talking about 10 years ago, they were looking at places like Taco Lou, some other staples in Jacksonville, and they got invited about 5 or 6 years ago to come and serve at the Players, and they just love being able to give back to the city. Um, they do a spectacular job with the hospitality.
Yeah.
Anybody else got one?
I like them all, man.
Hot Fingers Beer Garden.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're around anymore, but it was actually one that was around town. They always had their stuff out there too. It was called Delish Kebab, and it was ridiculous. The kebabs they had there were fantastic, and they used to be in that little food truck alley.
Yeah.
Not sure if they're around or not, but shout out to those guys. They did fantastic. All right, guys, before we wrap this up, I'm going to turn it over to Padron to lead this, just because I think I'll botch it if I try to. We're gonna give our picks, who we think are going to be our winners here, and with that, Mike, I'm going to turn it over so I don't jack this up.
It's easy. I kind of made this up, so it's really easy. I figured we are going to do this. We're going to try to do this for all the majors and the players, since the players is the third major. And we'll go. What I figured is we'll pick our top pick each, and a dark horse. What qualifies a dark horse is 200 to 1 odds to win or greater. You're going to get for the your regular pick, you can get 5 points and make the cut. 10 points if the top 25 finish. 25 points for a top 10 finish, and 50 points if they win. And then if your dark horse does any of that, your points are doubled. And we'll just keep track kind of every week. And then we'll do the 4 majors, and maybe throw in the tour championship or something somehow. But I figured we'd go around, get our pick and our dark horse, and see where it goes from there.
Works for me.
I'll let you go, Jesse. You go first, since you're the host.
All right, so I've got Jordan Spieth as my winner, and Billy Horschel as my dark horse.
All right, is Horschel 200 to 1?
I didn't see him on the
I don't
list.
think he's 200 to 1.
Come back to me for the dark horse. Let me look over your list.
I sent the list. I'm using Hard Rock because that's the only thing we have in Florida, unfortunately. I'm using Hard Rock as our betting app.
That's all you have in Florida. There's no rules in Florida, baby. You can have anything.
It is.
Not for gambling. Not for gambling.
Yeah, you got to go everything through the Indian reservations. So they control kind of everything here.
You got nothing.
But all right, Wes, what you got?
All right. I'm tossing between the winner, either Hideki or Daniel Berger, but I am going to go Hideki. I'm like that close to going to Berger, but I'm going to go Hideki. My dark horse, I'm going with Adam Hadwin.
Oh, I hope you win it, man, because I think that was my dark horse.
Yeah.
Hey, I lost the internet there, so right when you picked. So what are the 2 picks again?
I'm going Hideki.
And then he said Lee Hodges, I think. Yeah.
That was my second guy I was going to go with. I'm sorry. I was going to go Hoagie, but I'm going to go
Hoagie was a good one.
Adam
and Hideki. Yep. Did you see Hideki's that 8:24 tee time on Thursday? Ludwig Oberg, JT, and Hideki.
That's pretty solid.
Good golf right there.
Yep.
So, all right, Blakely, what you got?
So I'm gonna go Ludwig Oberg, which I thought you were just thinking, which really hurt me. So I'll take that. The backup dark horse throwing some darts at the wall. Let's just say Sam Ryder.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Sam Ryder.
Okay.
Nice. I like it. Sheldon?
Why do I have to go last? Does that mean
I'm last.
Well, Padron hasn't gone yet.
I'm going last.
you have to go last? You're for the winner. I know it's not going to happen because we've never had a 3-time winner, but Scotty keeps proving me wrong in everything he does in life, so I'm going to go Scotty Scheffler.
All right.
And back, and yeah, I mean, I'll get off the horse when it bucks me. Cam Davis.
Nice, Davis. I like that.
I like that.
I like that one.
All right, so I'm going with Sepp Straka as my winner here. He's been on a roll lately. He finished. I did a little research. T16 last year.
Yep.
You know, he's got 6 top 15s this year. He won at the Amex. He's got top 5 at the API. He's playing absolutely lights out right now. So he's going to be my top guy. And then I got to go with the smoothest swing in the PGA as my dark horse. and that's Jake Knapp. And now he could blow up
How
pretty
is he
easily.
that? How are his odds that low, high? I mean,
He's right at 200.
Yeah, he was right at it.
uh,
The reason I like him, he's made surprisingly he's made 7 of 8 cuts this year.
Yeah.
But as you saw last or 2 weeks ago in the Cognizant, he's hit or miss, man.
Yep.
He shot a 59 and then shot a 1 over the next day. So it's he's hit or miss, but I like him enough to do it at least the first time we do this.
Welcome
So,
to golf.
let's do that. Hey, I actually I'm going to come up with a rule now that we're going to come up with a rule here.
Oh,
Mid picks. It's one and done. You can't pick them again for the Masters.
oh,
Say that.
you did
Okay,
say that. So that
I'm okay with that.
Let me give
So
you.
hey, Mike, it's going to reset when we start the official majors. Yeah.
Yeah, there
Okay,
you
you know
go.
what?
Yes, there you go.
We can
Yes.
do that then. We
Yeah.
can do that. Once we pick the Masters, you can't pick them again.
Well,
There you go.
I like it.
All right,
I like it.
Jesse, we gave you enough time, buddy.
Give me Bo Hostler for my dark horse.
No, the Bow Show.
Who knows?
The Bow Show, baby.
I'll keep track of everything, and beautiful, man. I love it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Well, guys, anything you want to leave us with before we sign off here?
You said the best place to watch.
Yeah,
Best
best place to watch.
Oh yeah.
It's a stadium course. It was designed to be able to watch from any angle anywhere else. Obviously, 17 is what it is, and sometimes you sit in some of the little chalets, and it's very difficult to track the ball. Sitting right behind 17, watch them tee off is amazing. But what we actually do is we actually walk the course. We'll pick a group or a foursome, and we'll just walk the entire course with that same one. And that's probably been my favorite thing to do. My wife's not a big golf fan, but she actually picks up on it, and that's what we do. So that's the favorite thing is just pick a foursome, walk the course with them, see the course in its beauty.
Nice. Wes, what about you?
I know the default's always behind 17T, but there's something cool about watching them opening their round behind number one because they've flattened out all that area and you can just stand directly behind them. That's a really cool tee shot, actually. So I kind of like hanging out there to watch the players get going because one, I'm a golf sicko. I can watch them warm up and I can watch them warm up putt and I can just turn around and watch them tee off on one to start the day.
Nice.
So if I can't do behind 17T, it's for me, it's standing behind one tee box.
What about you, Padron?
So, most of back in the day, I don't know if you guys remember when you first started going, it was the hill between 9 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
It's all chalets now. You could
Yep.
sit on that hill and watch them come in on 9 and 18 all day long, and it was beautiful. But now, I do enjoy, for many reasons, sitting right there at 11 green and then walking over to 12T. 12 is a drivable par 4.
Mm-hmm.
You've got all those vendors right there. You've got a bar right there. You've got a restroom right there. You've got everything you need. 11, you see them going in for 2 if they need to. A lot of them have been laying up recently. 12 drivable par 4, and then you actually don't walk too much further, and you're in probably the toughest tee shot on the course is 14. And you watch them tee off on 14. So you're right there within 100 yards of just walking back and forth. You can watch some 3 pretty cool golf holes.
Nice. Blakely, what's your favorite spot on the course?
So, I mean, I'll say like kind of what Mike said, there's not a bad spot on this course, in my opinion. Obviously, if you sit on that little hill on 17, kind of where they have that, where they have the military appreciation concert, awesome, right? You got the stands behind you, everybody cheers. It's a fun hole. But I do like, I make sure every time I go to the tournament that I go by one because I like to see them walk up. I can remember vividly the first year I went, Tiger Woods walking up. He had a green shirt on, and I was like,
"Did you kick his ball?"
But so I like watching them walk up and just launch that drive. I personally do enjoy sitting on 3 on the left side.
Yes.
Watching them come to that green. It's a big green. It's kind of a tricky green. So you get up there, you can watch them putt, and it's just really neat to see how they think about it. And then I do like to post up on 16, kind of at the green, but near to where I have a good view of that TV behind 17, and you can see the green. So So I watch them have to navigate the oak on 16, coming into the green. You watch the putts, and then you can see them go over there and see that approach shot. So I do like to hang out over there.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the hill on 3, like because you can sit there at the top of the hill, watch all of that par 3 on number 3, and then you can see the green on 2, which is the par 5, and then you can turn right around and watch people warm up on the driving range.
Exactly. Yeah, I do like turning around and seeing that.
Yeah.
Solid.
That was one of my biggest. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say what Mike said though about Padron, about being near a restroom and a place to eat. That's good thinking, man. That's good thinking.
100%. With that, we're going to wrap this thing up, and we'll catch you guys down the road.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, man.